another episode of AMC Connects. Welcome, friends. Yes, AMC Connects stands for Anne-Marie Chiz connects, hopefully, with all of you. If you don't know the backstory to that, please tune into last week's episode. If you did not, we have a super fan connected to the podcast, and they had a epiphany about AMC Connects. So to know more, tune into last week. Speaking of a fan, we have Ash-ley Edwards with us on today's episode, which I'm very excited about. She is a fan favorite, not only of me, but many, if not all of you. Very excited to be able to have her on, to be able to talk a bit more about what's going on in nursing priorities and our workforce. And a lot of amazing work has been done over the last several weeks. If you remember, on a few episodes ago, I was really grateful for the many pathways people were giving me feedback. And internally, parts of the workforce were sharing, giving how busy it is and how much work is going on, acuity of our patients. Lots of different activities happen in different seasons within Central New York. So Ash-ley is with us on what she's unpacking to be able to make sure that we continue to be a greatest place to work, maybe even in the near future, the greatest place to work. If you remember, several months ago, Rome Health announced that Newsweek and Plant A Insights recognized Rome Health as one of America's greatest mid-size workplaces in healthcare in 2026. The award is based on an evaluation of over 1.3 million online employee reviews, largely in the categories of work-life balance, compensation and benefits, career development, corporate reputation, workplace culture, ethical business practices. We're very excited to be acknowledged for this, but most importantly, how do we continue that enough is not enough, that we want to be not an A, but the greatest place to work. I'm going to send you over to a latest recruitment note before we come and have a conversation with Ash-ley. Thank you, everyone, and a huge shout out to Chuck and now Ash-ley that they put that together to be able to engage us on what is next and a real high priority, which is recruiting and certainly retaining the best and brightest in nursing and our clinical roles within Rome Health. So Ash-ley, tell us a little bit more about what's going on.
Yeah, so as you saw in Chuck's video, we're really trying to highlight how we're different at Rome with our culture and our leadership and the support that we provide, the teamwork, the fun that we can have at work. So you probably saw some of that in the video. And then highlighting what we do that's different, the 100% tuition reimbursement, the national certifications. I think a big thing is we have a certified nurse coach that spends a lot of time with our nurses, which is a really unique offering, all of our growth opportunities.
Thank you for prioritizing that, Ash-ley. I mean, when we pick off the area of professional growth, I think you and I certainly have a passion with this, but have you had any feedback from our employees, particularly in the clinical professions, on taking advantage of the tuition assistance or the certification? Oh, I just talked to one of our nurses that had just completed some education, their master's degree actually. Yeah,
Isn't that exciting?
It was huge. And then was not sure if they were going to go on, which I was in awe of, but also said to me, oh, I'm going to focus on my certifications now, which is a huge passion of it. I know of both of ours, but so tell us a little bit more what our nurses and clinical workforce is sharing with us about.
Yeah, so people are really excited to be able to have the opportunity to go back and not have to have loans. So we do a deferment program through MVCC for anybody who is either an LPN or a tech or anybody who wants to go back to be a nurse. We do a deferment program with them, and then we'll do any other school they want to go to up to SUNY rate. But what we've found is that our bachelor's prepared nurses has significantly increased in the past 2 to 3 years. Also, our national certification rate, we had, I think 2 years ago, maybe 11 certified nurses in-house, and now we're approaching 40. So really being able to honor the knowledge of the specialties is really cool.
Yeah, congratulations with that momentum. When Jody Wallace was on an episode many months ago, I asked her, because she was a little tentative about going on for additional education. And when I asked her what she thought of it and if it was worth it, she said definitely. Are you hearing that from others?
Yeah, I think from Vicky, that's a good example who you're talking about with her bachelor's. She was going to get her bachelor's and she's like, well, I might as well just keep going and get my master's. And she was super thankful. If we hadn't helped with that cost, she wouldn't have continued on her education. And being a leader, having that expertise to be able to give back to the staff is huge.
It is. And I feel like these academic settings are blessed to have Romans, because a shout out to Vicky. She got a straight A's, she told me. Wow.
She's great.
Bringing the excellence of Rome out into the academic realm. That's just amazing.
And a lot of her staff have followed as well and gone and pursued their bachelor's too. So it's a great example of our leadership kind of shepherding the team.
That's great, that broader scope of what they do so well each and every day. That's great. By the way, Rome Health Blue is looking good on you.
Yeah, do you see I wore my t-shirt today?
I think it's
And I had my blue scrubs on yesterday.
Yes.
Yes.
Lauren was on quite a while ago, and she introduced that the clinical professions are going through a professional dress exemplification, you know, that you've led us through or you've sponsored. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? And maybe most importantly, the why.
Sure. So Unit Practice Council actually is kind of like the owner of the changing of the colors. I brought up the concept, brought up some of the literature that increases trust with our patients, increases the teamwork and morale between the departments that are wearing the same colors or the roles that are wearing the same colors. But Unit Practice Council really has been the lead and the push for this. So they identified the colors, they did all the education, they did the rollout. They actually came back to me and pushed to be able to have the $50 voucher to take off some of the onus and the burden. So we were able to do that. So really thankful to Unit Practice Council to help make my vision come true and to be able to have it translate to the frontline staff.
Yeah, that's excellent. It does seem like that. I think Lauren had shared with us that people were a little tentative about it. It's one of the, I think, most significant concerns people were raising was around cost. I think people were sharing that they're feeling the connection to the vision, but cost. Any updates on that?
So a couple things. We did the voucher that I talked about. We also have partnered with a site who came on site and did a payroll deduction opportunity. And then we're also purchasing some scrubs to have on site at a discounted rate that people can buy through payroll deduction. Those will be located in the linen room. So those will be more of the like $12 to $15 per top and bottom range, so that we can kind of hit everybody.
That's great. I'm really proud of people connecting around what's trying to be done through the Professional Governance Council, and kudos to them for taking it on. Well, as I shared at the beginning, there has been a number of pieces of feedback throughout the workforce, largely in acute services, on just the level of workload, of acuity of patients, of pace throughout a full 24/7. You know, sometimes I think in the past, there's been like a high and low throughout a 24-hour period or throughout a week, and it just feels like recently, I mean, it's good, right? People want us and they want our care, but there's almost just a steady state of a heightened level of care needed. So I know that you've been unpacking some of the concerns related to the acute areas. What have you learned over the last couple of weeks, and what are you doing about it?
So one of the first things that when we started to get the feedback and see some of the trends that we're having a higher acuity, high census, starting to see some of that impact our workforce, is I started putting on scrubs, like I mentioned yesterday, and got back to the bedside. So I spent some time on acute care, I spent some time on maternity, some time on ER so far, and I'll continue that rotation. But it allows me to see in real time the barriers that are happening that you kind of become nose blind to. When you're in that environment, you're just working all the time, it just kind of becomes your norm. So every time I'm in there, I come up with a list of activities. My goal is to have 2 or 3 things I can fix within 36 to 72 hours. To try to alleviate some of that. So some examples are to North, one of our acute care areas. They were walking an extra probably 100 feet for supplies, and that adds up. So we quickly moved their supply, and we're going to do some more work to tweak it, but we moved their supply room so that's closer. Maternity was having patients, as you know, maternity, the babies come when they want to come. So
can't plan it.
The moms are hungry after. And depending on our flow with our cafeteria, they may not have something. So we quickly were able to get frozen meals, gluten-free, vegetarian, and regular ones within hours. Food nutrition was able to go out and get us some meals to stock, and then they're going to make that part of the process. So those are just 2 quick things.
Those are great examples.
That we were able to do, but I have lots more from when I was in the ER yesterday that we're chipping away at, but being able to be in there is really eye-opening.
Yes. I mean, I think you said a couple important things. One, we got this feedback pretty recently, again, through a variety of different channels. And to be able to have you and several others just kind of be out there in a different scope, looking at the environment from the outside now in, is just excellent, because when you're in it, you kind of accept things maybe as is, when we could do better. As people throughout the organization. I think that's awesome. I think the other piece of learning, certainly for me, as I'm hopefully supporting all of you and all of us and trying to do the scope work myself, is that the environment isn't necessarily always conducive for the excellent work we're trying to do. It either drifts or deteriorates, and our workforce is just so resilient that they just kind of get through it and accept it, and then deliver the care that they can, great care, and then it just kind of starts to pile up. So unpacking this further, thank you for doing that. And so proud. I mean, just a reminder, you've been the chief nursing officer. This is 4 years. Happy birthday. CNO.
Yes,
July. It's the 4th year. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so great. One of the defining attributes that selected you as our candidate was a number one ask, was that we would have a chief nursing officer that had competencies that could be bridged to the bedside. And you highlighting your last kind of shift in how you're doing your own work, because it's then some, and it's plus nothing goes away for you, and nobody comes in and like does your work when you're doing it differently. But thank you for that. Thank you for your competencies being intact and for being able to work at the elbow. Yeah. Do you think that's been essential in how you've picked things up of how to prioritize?
For sure. Yeah, because if you're not in there, I mean, you can shadow and watch, but if you're not in there working alongside of them, doing a patient assessment or doing a procedure on a patient, you don't pick up on those things that are missing. So you really have to be able to get in there and get at the bedside to be able to pick up on those things. Right.
Kind of shifting back into recruitment, there's some other things you're doing around recruitment that you've maybe done before, but you're putting a refresh on it. Do you want to share with us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Anybody who has left us in the past 2 years who is eligible is getting a personal letter from myself with a phone number to call me directly. So if anybody receives that, please reach out. I'll also follow back up as well in a couple weeks to see who received those. But bringing them on, if they do come on, they'll come back at any of their same benefits from when they left. And then making sure, because in 2 years, a lot has changed.
Yes.
So making sure that they know of all the great things that are happening at Rome since they may have left us.
You're right. And even what's to come.
Yeah.
One of the pieces of feedback we've heard from acute care clinical services is that our electronic health record documentation is a real peril. Yes, I was so
huge.
Thankful. Yeah, it's huge. Yeah. And not only is that designated as our really highest priority project over the next 18 months, they have the opportunity to have input. Yeah.
I actually have a meeting later today for acute care steering.
That's excellent. Yeah. One of the pieces I always appreciate about Rome and clinical services overall is that people leave and so many come back. Can you tell us a little bit about why you think people come back and that it's okay to do so?
Yeah. I would say it's the people, and I think it's the leadership. So when we ask people, we have another nurse that's coming back, and we were candid, healthcare is still hard. It's hard. Like, when you left, why do you want to come back to us? And they said, I've realized that the leadership and the support that you get here is, healthcare is hard everywhere.
Yes.
But the leadership and the support that you get at Rome is different than what you find other places. So we support it. Sometimes people need to leave to see how it is other places, and sometimes other places is a fit for them, and that's okay too. But we're always welcoming them to come back, and sometimes we'll say, why don't you stay on per diem? That way you can, transition quickly. But we like to have those supportive conversations with them.
Excellent. There is just no place like Rome. Yeah, Ash-ley, right? Yeah. Is there anything you want to share with us, and or anything that you think I or the board or the community can do to help and understand? I know that we had, I put him as a partner in my sphere of activities that I work on. The Department of Health was here recently over the last few weeks, and it was unanticipated, and they did have some feedback and opportunities for improvement for us. Anything you want to close us off with some of that?
I think just keeping the feedback coming. As much as I'm trying to get closer to the front lines, there's still things that we miss. So feedback, good or bad, coming forward in any way you want to get it to us is great, because then we can act on it. If we don't know about it, we can't work on it.
That's right. That's right. One of my most, I think, points of pride in the last several weeks is that the Department of Health gave us, once again, great feedback that the workforce and the clinicians, our nurses that they were interviewing, and it wasn't just nurses, it was a number of members of the team, our physicians, that our clinicians were just so proud to talk about the work that they do, and then very accepting of the opportunity for improvement that they had around what we need to do next. So what a great partnership.
I think the takeaway is that they want to do a really good job. The team really, really wants to do a good job. And that was seen, and it was seen by the DOH too.
Yes. Thank you, Ash-ley. Thank you for continuing to lead us through. And congratulations on 4 years. Like, whoa, that's getting to expert status.
It's quick.
Yes. Well, everyone, I think I speak for Ash-ley with just echoing what she says, the continued feedback. We pride ourselves here in Rome Health in the formal leadership role that we position ourselves in a way that we can do rapid improvements. And we want to make sure that, again, we're not just a greatest place to work, but that we are the greatest place to work. So thank you to Ash-ley and others for creating the best care out there here.